Good morning and welcome to Morning Rain on Business Television Africa. My name is Benjamin Afre and I'll be your host for this morning. We are considering trade among African nations as to how we can boost investments and business among each other. We'll also take a look at the stock markets across Africa and other business issues that are important to our development as a continent. We'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll continue with our show.
Looking for a venue for your wedding reception, conferences and retreats, outside catering, recreation? Look no further than Coconut Grove Beach Resort Hotel, located in Elmina. Coconut Grove Hotels, memories worth repeating.
Welcome back from the break. Africa needs to do a lot of trade among itself. Now, if you look at global trade, it's been very small in terms of Africa's participation. We are doing just about 3 to 5% of global trade. However, if you look at trade among ourselves, it's nothing to write home about. It's important, and time is right, that we talk about how we can develop the trade relationships among each other. Here with me this morning to discuss the trading issues among African countries is Dr. Seth Ejeba, who is the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
I hope you're fine this morning.
Very fine.
Well, so we talk about trade among ourselves in terms of African economies. What would be your general assessment on how trade among ourselves have been like?
Well, I think trade really is not going on. We are just recording about 7 or less than 10% among the African countries, whilst in Europe it's about 75%. Then you ask yourself why? If I want to export things to Nigeria in volumes, the best bet is to just send the goods to Europe, then redirect it to Nigeria.
Why do you need to send it to Europe?
Structures are just not there. There's no vessel from here to Nigeria or even from here to Togo. So the structures are just not there for us to do business. So we are now trying to build the structures which will allow us to be able to do business amongst ourselves. So if instead of maybe sending the goods from here to Togo, to Europe, then from Europe back to Nigeria, I better just import from Europe straight away and the goods will be here in 2 weeks' time.
But we know that business trading among each other is very significant and can bring significant benefits to countries. So then I would ask, what are really, you talk about the structures, what other things really are contributing to the fact that we are unable to trade seriously among ourselves?
The businessman just looks first at profit, where he just maximizes his profit. If I want to travel from here to Nigeria by road, the road blocks along the line, the delayances, sometimes trucks spend about 10 days from here to get to Nigeria, which is just about 24-hour drive. But because of the frustration along the borders, no businessman will have time for that. So it's a matter of governments with the private sector sitting down to clear all these blocks. If they are being done, then people will go in there to trade amongst ourselves. Other than that, it's about profit. Yeah. So where I'll make my profit at the best of time is what the businessman will do.
That's an interesting proposition. But looking at the fact that you have ECOWAS, looking at the fact that you have OAU, all looking at the West African or the African integration, what really then is the government's role in terms of, taking some of these barricades away to encourage trade among ourselves?
I think governments are trying, but if you talk about the roadblocks, people take about their sovereignty, security within their country. If you go to Nigeria, ask them to remove the roadblocks, they will tell you that Boko Haram is here. So the roadblocks are not because of your export to his country, it's because of internal security. So if somebody is telling you about internal security, what do you expect the person to do? Yeah. So the roadblocks are there, but when you are bringing cargo from Ghana, they want to offload everything to check with the pretense that there's something in the cargo, but just to frustrate you to extract money. And by so doing, people are not encouraged to trade amongst ourselves.
So is it right then to say that the policies are simply not in place? whether in Ghana alone or even among ourselves, that there isn't the will among the government then to promote these things?
There are a lot of wonderful things on paper, but implementation is the problem. Okay. Implementation is the problem.
So
we are supposed to be able to have free access to the Nigerian market. By going there, there are a lot of exemptions. The way you'll be frustrated, you'll not be tempted to go again. So yes, on paper, there are a lot of wonderful things that have been signed. We've been signing MOUs here and there to try to help build trade among ourselves. But at the end of it, how we will implement to make sure that we achieve the results is the question. It's not that easy.
Let me, sidetrack a bit. There are parliaments in each of these countries, and I know that one of the key issues parliaments look at is also how to integrate the market. I know we have a parliamentary association, for example. Are there any things that Parliament itself is also doing in order to push this agenda?
If you are talking about integration, the best way is to look at the private sector, the business people, to start with the integration. But most of the cases, if you are talking about people going for missions and trips, it's about 95% or 100% public sector. So if you don't take the private sector alone, how do they get to know even what is in Burkina Faso? If I don't know what is there, opportunities that are there, how do I go into trade and do business there? We should first be exposed to the opportunities. But most of the signing and agreements are done with the public sector and the politicians. And the private sector will hardly take mind to say, I'm going to exploit, when he knows that there's an easy market here that he will make his money very fast. So if we have to trade among ourselves as Africans, governments of various countries should come in to support the private sector, open up the way, expose the things that are there to them. When they get to know and they see there's money there, the businessman will go there. Yes.
So you are looking at taking it from the private sector first, the initiative coming from or through the private sector instead of government.
We are colonized through trade.
That is true.
You can tell what trade can do. So if really we want to see reintegration, then it's through trade. And how do people go to trade there? They should know that there's something there that will benefit them, that will give them what they are looking for. If they go there, then they start with the trade. They identify new avenues, then they go in there. But if they are not having the opportunity to go there, if I'm supposed to go to East Africa now, they ask me for visa.
That is true.
The frustrations to go through to collect visa, no businessman will have time for that. If I'm supposed to go to Central Africa, visa, why should I worry myself about visa when I don't even know what is there? Africa has not exposed the things that we have within the continent.
But I know
even in Ghana here, some people don't know what is in the northern part of Ghana. But if you go there, there are a lot of opportunities over there. So if we don't even know our country, to be able to trade within our country, what are we talking about Africa? There are a lot of challenges we need to develop, we need to expose and let people get to know what is there. If the businessman gets to know what is there, he will just jump and go over everything and go and make the money there.
But if you look at a country like Rwanda, even though they have been, they are coming from war, but it seems they are making very significant strides in terms of promoting trade and encouraging trade into their country. Are there any lessons that we can learn from, the model that they are running?
Well, I think government is supporting private sector. Within the last 3 weeks, they have been moving from country to country to let people know what they have there, and also try to let their business people identify what they can also see within Africa so that they can trade. I want to see that in Ghana, the private sector is being supported in a way that we also get to know what is within the other countries. When we get to know, then we can trade among ourselves. But if we don't know, and the small money that we have, we're going to use it to exploit, to look at other markets, it won't work. I know the cost of doing business in our country is quite high. So the little profit that you get, you try to make sure that you don't use it just like that.
Okay. I know that the EPA, or the Economic Partnership Agreements, the governments are pushing to sign, and most African countries are up in arms against the signing of that. What is your take on that? And then in view of, the possibility of signing that agreement, what can we do as Africans, to encourage trade among ourselves?
The solution to the problems of Africa is not about trade, it's about manufacturing. That is where we can create the needed jobs for our people. That is where, if we are able to produce, consume some, and export some, we can get the needed foreign exchange to be able to stabilize our currency. But we are giving access of 75% for them to come to our market, and without the taxes and duties to be paid. What is going to happen is that local manufacturers cannot stand the competition. There's a mentality out there that things made in Europe are of high quality. So if we allow that, it means we are going to destroy our industrial base.
But Doctor, is that not the case? That if you look at things produced there, you probably might find a lot more of them of a higher quality than what we do here.
Okay. China started. There was a time, you might be quite young, when people didn't want to buy Hyundai cars.
Yeah, that's true.
You see? Why? Because they thought they were not good cars. But now, a lot of people are going for such cars.
That's true.
You've got to start from somewhere and develop and grow into it. So if our people have started, when we started doing sachet water here in Ghana, we're using sealant. The machine, you put it there, you seal it, you take it to the tap, you fill, then you seal it again. Now we don't use sealants again. A time will come, we'll progress and we'll move on. That is how it goes. So if you say our goods, products are not good, so we should kill the industrial base, then I'm afraid we are destroying our future. Let me tell you what happened in 2008. I imported water from Turkey, paid all the duties, brought them here for the Can 208. The water was able to compete with Vortic, made locally. So now, I imported water from Turkey. It's not somebody, I did it for the Can 208.
Was it because we couldn't meet the demand?
Well, everybody, they were giving us a lot of figures of people who were coming for the Can 208. So we felt we could also catch in and take advantage of that. And I imported the water. I was still competitive. So if this water that was imported, there was no duty.
Then it could have been much,
My
much
God,
cheaper than
I would have cleared Vortic out of the system.
That is true.
And if Vortic gets out of the system, look at the number of people who are going to lose jobs. These are the problems that we are facing. But well, there's some 6.5 billion for West Africa. I think people are looking for that, for developments and other things. So naturally, every government will look at the money coming in immediately. But for me as a businessman, I think it's not easy to start a business, develop a business to come to a certain level. And what I also ask is that, why is it that Europe is coming up with these policies so that they can compete with China? They will revive their industries. And we are allowing this thing to kill our industries? Well, I'm not talking as a politician, but I think we have to look at it.